This is John Cullo with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, we'll be answering your guys' questions. If you guys have a question that you would like me to answer in an upcoming Q&A, make sure you guys go to my YouTube posts tab. It used to be the community tab, now it says post tab, and you can post a question there that may get answered in next month's Q&A. So before we get into the questions, I want to go ahead and share a little bit about myself. I've been eating a raw vegan diet since 1995. I've experimented over the many years with different styles of raw vegan, more fruit, less fruit, more gourmet, less gourmet, very simple, and all these kind of things. And more lately, within the last 5 years, I started to incorporate small amounts of heat processed foods, anywhere from 10 to 20% of my calories in lightly heat processed foods that are in the Instant Pot. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you guys my 30 years of experience, as well as seeing and experiencing and meeting many other people on this journey. So let's get started. All right, first question is from Kelly Hildebrand, 8341. Lately, there's been so much controversy on protein. Even longevity experts seem to disagree. What's your take on it? So my take on the protein thing is that, number one, protein is an essential nutrient. We need to get enough protein every single day. And depending on what style of raw vegan diet you're on, you may actually not be getting enough protein. Link down below to my video on how some fruitarians who are not carefully paying attention to the kinds of fruits they eat without eating any greens or vegetables actually, in my opinion, can become protein deficient. That being said, it doesn't have to be that way if you plan appropriately and add some vegetables into your garden. If you think, where does a cow get its protein? You know, it's hopefully eating free-range grass, which are greens, which is of course rich in protein. So my personal take is we need enough protein each and every day, that's for sure. Up till about age 30, we're pretty consistent, but at a certain point in our lifetime, our protein utilization goes down, which means we will need to add more protein into our diet. Now, some people may do this with protein supplements and protein shakes and powders and all these crazy things. And, I encourage you guys to always get your nutrients, whether it's protein, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, from whole food plants as much as possible. And actually, that's one of the many reasons why I started incorporating a little bit more heat processed foods into my diet. As well as nuts have protein, they also have, a lot higher fat content. That's why I started incorporating some beans into my diet that I heat process. Of course, if you want to stay raw, keep your raw label. Some beans can be sprouted, such as lentils, adzukis, mung beans, for instance. And then you get some more beans in you, which then have higher protein than fruit, for example. Of course, another way I get my protein are from all my leafy greens. I'm about to make my bulk green juice recipe for the week. Link down below to my video. Where I make my bulk green juice in the Kuvings Auto 10, which is actually what I'm using this week. That way it allows me to basically concentrate a lot of nutrition in the greens, including the protein, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and get them into me, right? So I've been slowly but surely ramping up my protein because I personally believe our requirements do go up as we get more mature on this planet, which basically correlates to some of the published studies out there. I discourage you guys from getting protein powders, which are isolated, from the whole food. I would encourage you guys to get protein from the food itself. So beans and greens, some of the highest sources, algae powders like spirulina, chlorella, some of the other higher sources. And if you don't want to do juice greens, you could do dried greens, which then, of course, because you are removing the water, will be higher as well, like wheatgrass and barley powder. Also higher in protein. Also something called lentine powder or duckweed powder, if you could find it. Unfortunately, it has become very difficult to find as of late. All right, next question is from Raw Sunada 829. If you would tell us what was wrong with your blood test, then we would understand the reasons. Right now, it is not clear why you need to eat cooked foods. Does not make any sense to invite dead, no energy matter into your body. All right, Sonata. So this is probably left in one of my videos and one of the comments. So, here's the thing. In my blood tests were actually pretty doggone good. The main issue with my blood test that I saw over time was that my A1C was a little bit higher than I'd like it to be. And also, I was not handling my sugar and digestion of sugar. So my fasting glucose was a little bit higher than what I would like it to be as well. Some people might be fine with it being a little bit higher. I am not, especially not, and it's not just my blood tests. Let me be straight with you guys. My blood test reflected this, but also I had physical symptoms that things were not going right with me. I would get these headaches. Like, man, do I got migraines all of a sudden? What's going on? I'm on the raw vegan diet. It's the best diet in the world. I shouldn't have any health problems, right? And I was getting these reoccurring headaches at random times. I went to acupuncturists. I went to all these different kinds of alternative practitioners, chiropractors to get adjusted, osteopaths, all these different people to see if they could help with, like, dude, why am I getting headaches? Of course, I went to a medical doctor who said, you have pre-diabetes. So I was like, man, you're crazy, dude. He gave me some prescription drugs. I didn't want to believe him. And then, you know, I come the full gamut, do more blood testing, and then kind of put two and two together. Hey, that medical doctor said I have pre-diabetes, which I don't know if I believe. Nonetheless, I was not handling my sugar as well, and too much sugar can cause some headaches, right? So once I cut my sugar down, guess what? My headaches went away. So it's like, it's not just the blood test. It's like the blood test plus all these other things. And of course, also plus my microbiome test was not where I would like it to be for longevity purposes, right? If you think your microbiome test is good where you're at, more power to you. You know, I'm here for doing this for my health, not for dogmatic reasons. While I do believe that it is always better to bring life and eat foods full of life, like my fresh greens, and I doubt most of you guys are even to pick a lettuce leaf right then and there and eat it. That is more vibrant, more living than any lettuce you will ever buy at the store. Wow, tastes good too. You know, I do heat process some foods, and just because it's not alive doesn't mean that it has no value. You know, I want to encourage you guys who haven't already to watch my video link down below why the raw vegan diet works, right? There's a lot of reasons why, and you will get most of those same reasons if you eat a whole food, plant-based, minimally processed or heat processed diet. There's only a few reasons that make the raw vegan diet work that are not because it's heat processed, right? Once again, link down below. Not being heat processed is a small component of why raw vegan works, but there's many other reasons as well that you can still get if you eat whole food plants that are minimally processed, right? There's a lot of dogma in the raw vegan lifestyle, you know, death becomes death and all this stuff. And yes, I would agree on some extent that if you fried and charred black food, which is now charcoal, like I saw, you know, a vegetarian on a show recently put potatoes on a fire and eat it, that's way overcooked, and that I definitely would not agree with that. I mean, actually, most heat processed or cooked foods I would not agree with. French fries, burgers, going to a vegan restaurant, to eating just food that's just like baked in the oven. I don't agree with none of that stuff still, right? You guys got to watch my videos where I share I heat process my food in water under 248 degrees, so it's very minimally heated, so I get access some of the benefits of the foods with minimal heat processing, retaining all the water content, not baking out the water content, right? And not creating the carcinogens, and in some cases even increasing the absorption of some phytonutrients based on the studies. And once again, links down below where I prove all these things based on the science. I'm not just making this stuff up, guys. I have very specific reasons for the things I do in my life, right? I'm pretty pragmatic, all right? So I hope that answers your question, Sunada. Next question is from Brittany Daniels, 1102. How do you get enough protein, fiber, and fat on a healthy raw diet? All right, so Brittany, so I think the number one thing I would say is if you eat a diversity of different types of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, right? As well as things like seaweeds, right? It's very important to eat a diversity. You eat a diet of nothing but bananas, you're going to get enough fiber. You may get enough fat depending on how many bananas you eat. You could get enough protein on only eating bananas a day, but you got to eat a lot of them. That being said, if you eat a well-rounded, properly planned, raw vegan diet, you can meet all your protein, fiber, and fat on a healthy raw diet. So for example, if you eat just fruits and vegetables, you may get maybe right around 8% fat, depending on what fruits and vegetables you're eating, because all foods have fats in them. The more calories you eat, then the more fat you're eating, obviously. Of course, things like leafy greens are higher in fat than sweet fruits. Of course, there are fatty fruits such as avocado and olives that have more fat content in there. If you're not juicing and drinking solely juice, especially pineapple juice is the worst offender. Pineapple juice keeps very little fiber because it is only 10% soluble fiber. So if you're drinking nothing but pineapple juice, you're not going to meet your fiber requirements. But if you're eating enough fruits and vegetables to meet your caloric needs, you're going to get enough fiber, like on paper. But the question is, are you getting enough types of fiber? And I think that is really the key and what most people don't pay attention to. Fiber is not fiber is not fiber. We know there's insoluble fiber, we know there's soluble fiber, but there's many other different kinds of fiber. There's fermentable fiber and non-fermentable fiber. What that means is, does your bacteria or microbiome literally eat it, right? So it's like important. I just harvested sunchokes the other day. Eat sunchokes, which have an inulin fiber, which actually feed your gut microbiome, right? If you eat green bananas, the minute they start turning ripe and start turning yellow, the starch content quickly goes down, and then it's not going to feed your microbiome as well because it's not going to have as much starch or some of the inulin in there. Of course, things like garlic and onions that some raw vegans exclude also contain some prebiotic fibers, but there's many different kinds of fibers, so I encourage you guys to eat a whole range of different fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, you know, things like tubers, whatnot. That's actually why, one of the reasons why I start heat processing some, you know, purple potatoes, purple sweet potatoes to get additional resistant starch and fibers into me. That being said, if you eat a properly planned raw vegan diet and eat enough calories for you, right? If you are under eating, then you're not going to meet your caloric needs, your protein needs, your fiber needs, or your fat needs, right? My goal is to have like a handful or maybe 2 of nuts and seeds a day. If you eat a handful or 2 of nuts and seeds a day, along with other fruits and vegetables, you're going to meet your fat needs. And that's just on paper. Once again, there are essential fats like omega-3s and 6s, right? If you pig out on almonds, and then you eat like, you know, like a small head of romaine lettuce and then mostly fruits, right? You may meet your omega-6 needs, and you will meet them and exceed them, but you're really going to be lacking on your omega-3 needs, which are critical for your health. And most Americans don't get their omega-3s anyways, and I don't want you to be a raw vegan that doesn't meet their omega-3 needs either. So that's why I recommend grinding up a tablespoon of flax seeds a day and eating them. You know, I also make my own flax oil, cold press, link down below to that video. You know, to supplement. Sometimes I don't eat, you know, flax oil every day. I also take a DHA and EPA supplement. The one I'm now taking is the one I found actually at Costco, which has a really good long expiration date and is actually packed in an aluminum bottle, which was really cool. The other thing I'd say is for your protein, make sure you guys eat enough greens a day. My goal is to eat a pound of greens, usually from my garden, or whether I also drink them in a juice, and also eat a pound of vegetables. This way you are guaranteed to get enough protein. That, of course, that being said, if you guys want to get additional protein, I would say soak and sprout some beans. Adzuki, lentils, mung beans can be sprouted and eaten. That being said, I just these days heat process my beans and put them in the Instant Pot for extra protein. All right, next question is from Vancouver Born. Hi, John. What do you think about us absorbing the nutrients from chia, i.e. should it be ground in the same way as flax to improve nutrient availability? Absolutely. So here's the thing, like I just seen the other day, you know, raw vegan put like a, you know, nut milk and then dissolve chia seeds in there so that they're kind of suspended inside there, which look really cool for the video, right? But the challenge is when you eat that, you know, most of you guys aren't going to chew up the small chia seeds. They're pretty hard. You might crunch a few and kind of break them in half. The issue is, why do chia have gel on it? Is it for our benefit, for our microbiome benefit, because it's gelatinous and it could help soothe your digestive system or whatever? No, it's because if animals eat it, like birds or other animals, and they eat it and it gels up, then that animal's digestive system can't get the gastric juices to basically break down those seeds, right? And then it goes through you, and then out the other end comes, guess what? The whole chia seeds that then, you know, are sitting in a poop pile and then sprout into new chia plants, right? This is how nature works. I don't create these systems. That's why a lot of seeds have coatings and are hard and will basically go right the, I mean, when I eat dragon fruit seeds, which there's so many dragon fruit seeds, right? I see them come out the other end, you know, no big deal. This is how nature works. So I would say absolutely we need to grind up chia like we need to grind up flax. You know, I prefer to dry grind them in a vacuum blender to prevent the oxidation that occurs when you're dry blending. That being said, you could also put them in a blender with liquid and then make sure you blend long enough and you have a good blender that's actually runs at a high enough speed with sharp enough blades to fractionate them up and blow open the cell wall so you could expose the nutrients, turn it inside out, and actually get the nutrition from it, all right? So that's the answer. All right, oh, and there's a second part. Also, is there any way you can get a medical professional who has seen the inside of the human body on to dispel the myth or, hey, confirm the facts of the presence of problematic mucoid plaque some raw YouTubers use as leverage to coerce people to join their paid group coaching? All right, Vancouver. So, you know, here's the thing. Like, I don't need to do that when other raw vegans are doing that. So I'm grateful for Chris at the Raw Advantage. Link down below to his video where he basically dispels the mucoid plaque myth. He interviews 2 chiropractic doctors and then also 1 medical doctor who's seen inside cadavers and cut open bodies that are no longer living, you know, to see what's inside. And, you know, as mucoid plaque is explained, there's nothing as mucoid plaque that sticks to your intestine walls that then finally comes out. That being said, I did do an Arise and Shine cleanse myself at the beginning of my raw vegan journey, and I felt amazing afterwards. I, to this date, believe that something came out of me that had these long ropes that, to me, looked like the inside of my digestive system, right, based on the psyllium and bentonite, right? It was not mucoid plaque, but it was something that looked impressive. But sometimes my poop comes out in funny little beads and it looks impressive, you know? So, you know, definitely it was some waste. Was it active waste? Was it old waste? I'm not, you know, I think that things come out of us. I still don't think there's mucoid plaque. I don't believe there's mucoid plaque, and leave it to Chris at Raw Advantage to dispel that myth. I will have soon some upcoming episodes. I've been planning this for a while on how our intestines work and actually how the mucus lining in our gut works, and, like, you know, pictures from published science about these things, which basically they make no mention of mucoid plaque either. All right. Next question is from Lavina Hasrison 3657. Hi, John. Just wondering how your January retreat went. Will you be hosting more in the future? Thanks for all you do to inspire a healthy lifestyle. All right. So here's the thing. Like, I had to cancel the retreat that I had planned in January. Basically, it was Kailash and I, and then a business partner. The business partner was making all the decisions for both me and Kailash for the retreat, and she basically made some poor decisions, which then caused the retreat to not happen. I mean, that's just a short story. The good news is, in the future, Kailash and I, without a business partner, will have our own retreats in the future at some point. It will be on one day on our properties that we have. That being said, our properties won't be finished for a little bit, so we may have them on another locations, but that will be to be determined. All right. Next question is from Smiling Bliss Goddess. Hey, John, you mentioned Asian markets, grocers, and ethnic grocers. Are they organic, though? Great discussion once again. Thank you for your generous sharing. I always enjoy what you have to say, especially that it is based on experience and research. Blessings. All right. So yeah, so I often talk about Asian markets and Hispanic markets, ethnic markets, and getting produce there so people can diversify their diet. Unfortunately, most of the produce at ethnic markets, Asian markets, international markets is not organic, all right? I mean, on occasion, I'll get like kick-ass deals on organic blueberries. Actually, I just got a good deal on organic hothouse cucumbers at the Mexican market in town, 2 for $1 for nice long English cucumbers. But basically, they'll have the number 9 in front of them. You'll clearly see they're organic. Actually, the other week, too, at the same Mexican market, I got organic red bell peppers, 2 for $1. In general, the produce at these places are not organic. So, you know, here's the thing. Like, is it more important to eat only organic and not eat any conventional so that you could stay all organic, but then you're limiting your diversity? So my personal opinion is that we want to expand our diversity as much as possible, even if it's not organic. You know, the fact of the matter is, most organic mangoes that I buy really suck ass. Like, honestly, I just actually bought some I thought were gonna be really good. picked too early, and actually they're also, you know, probably cold damage due to like going down to too cold of a temperature. Whereas I find conventional mangoes are usually picked at a much more riper state and actually taste better or in better condition. So, you know, I think that it's very important to choose our battles carefully, and as much as I eat as much organic as possible, I believe it is more important to diversify your diet with foods that you cannot buy organic, like other fruits and vegetables that you have not seen or experimented with. Of course, bring them home, wash them well, whether you want to spray them off with high pressure water, soak them in some kind of vinegar or baking soda solution, and then enjoy them. You know, so that's what I'll say. I think that, you know, diversity is really one of the main keys. Of course, if you grow a garden, you can grow the diversity and then grow these crazy Asian vegetables that I do grow every summertime and will be growing on my Puerto Rico, and am growing on my Puerto Rico property. You know, to have diversity without having to buy and resort to conventionally grown produce. All right, next question is from Shannon E. 1821. I wish I could find rice that doesn't have arsenic in it. Also, John, I guess you're not in favor of Ezekiel bread. All right, so here's the thing. Like, arsenic is a mineral that is, or heavy metal that contaminates soils all over the place. Some plants tend to basically take up more arsenic than others. Right? It is true that rice tends to basically pull out more arsenic out of the soil than other kinds of crops, right? So it's very important to find rice that is grown in fields that have less arsenic so that the rice doesn't bioaccumulate the arsenic. Some rices have a lot of arsenic, some rices have little. Supposedly Lundberg, you know, tests their rice or has less arsenic or something like that. You know, and here's the ticket. If you're eating rice every single day, you better damn be concerned about the arsenic levels, especially if you eat the same brand of rice day in, day out, because many people just buy the same brand and never switch off. And if that brand of rice you choose has high arsenic, then you're eating it every day, you are then bioaccumulating the arsenic, right? Like me, like, do I eat rice every day? Like, no, I might eat rice, you know, 5, 6, 7 days out of a month, if I remember. Maybe 10, I don't know, it's just random, like, oh, I feel like rice this week, and I'll eat rice. And most of the time I don't eat rice, but I do eat more beans, so. And then of course I eat a purple jasperi rice, which is the primary rice I eat. And that's grown in Thailand by small farms, you know, that I would believe and actually ask the owner of the company that it actually has very low arsenic levels. So that, and then, you know, so that's the thing, like, every food has arsenic. If we diversify our diet and don't eat a lot of the same food day in, day out, we're going to basically spread out, you know, any potential contamination or concentration issues within us. And of course, our bodies can detox many different food contaminants, I will say, out of our bodies. Some are just unfortunately very much slower than others. And then of course, I am not a fan of Ezekiel bread. If it's put in an oven, I'm not for it, right? That being said, I will soon, one of these days, it's been on my to-do list for a while, I'll soon be making some sourdough bread, heat processed in the Instant Pot with steam. You know, so it's actually going to be under 248 degrees. It's not going to come out all brown or nothing, so I'm not going to create carcinogens. And so I'm excited to do that, and that's the kind of bread I would favor, but I haven't done that yet. And I'm not going to be able to buy it anywhere, so it's probably going to be a while. All right, so next question is from Marky Benson. What is the control group for gut biome tests? I find most, if not all tests, blood, urine, hair, saliva, ranges are based on unhealthy test subjects. A good example is body temp. 98.6 is high. Healthy people have a lower normal body temp, so that standard is wrong. So while I can't agree with definitely the standard for you know, temperature testing, because I'm often lower than the standard as well, we need to know that there is a range to these things. You know, also some blood markers may be lower because, once again, the control group is not accurate or healthy. So on the microbiome test, basically what they're doing is they're basically getting on the microbiome tests, and then they're basically doing surveys of people that have health conditions or not. And then they correlate health conditions with certain microbes. They also look at long-lived people and correlate long-lived people and their microbiome, right? So there's many different things they could do. while it is not 100% accurate, what is pretty much known is, number one, that a greater diversity of good microbes and or microbes that could kind of switch, go either direction, is good. The bad microbes, you want to have the least of them as possible because those are bad. And they also know that you want to have specific foundation species. People that tend to live longer have certain foundational species of microbes living within them, right? And also, of course, people that are more resistant to diseases have certain species of microbes in different levels in them as well. So, you know, I would more likely favor microbiome norms than, say, blood test norms. And of course, you know, why don't you be a reference point, right? If you think you're ultimate healthy, get a microbiome test and share with the world on YouTube for all to see and say, this is what a healthy microbiome looks like. And then you could actually, it'll compare you to what is considered healthy based on the previous test data that they've accumulated, all right? So that's as far as I understand it. All right, next question or comment is from G Santini 8518. One of your last question and answers posts, there was someone asking, why aren't there any raw vegan running animal sanctuaries? Well, please note there are some, and one is Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, Inc. in Caldwell County, Texas, in the middle of cattle country. The woman and her husband have rescued many animals such as cows, bulls, horses, goats, pigs, rabbits, dogs, turkeys, and many, many more. I'm sure a search will lead to more sanctuaries. Raw vegans are not all in this lifestyle just for health, as you went on to say, but many, me included, are ethical for the animals too. Please mention this on your next question and answer post. Thank you. All right. So yeah, so what I specifically said is that most, I didn't say all, I said most raw vegans get into it for health, not the act of being an ethical vegan. Of course, there are plenty of raw vegans that were first vegan for ethical reasons, then for whatever reason, usually it's because of their health, then goes raw vegan because they have been told by many raw foodists that being raw vegan is healthier than being just vegan. In some ways it is, and in some ways it isn't. If you're going whole food, plant-based, nutrient-dense, you know, vegan to like raw vegan, restrictive, fruitarian, that's totally not healthy, right? So I think here's the thing. The thing is that there are elements of the raw vegan diet that I think every whole food, plant-based vegan should incorporate, such as eating more fruits and vegetables in their raw, natural, unprocessed state, as well as learning from people like me, not many people like me, that are heat processing their food in the least possible way to, you know, avoid the toxins created in high heat temperature cooking to get the benefits, but also increase their diversity as well. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to say. You know, I did not say previously, and if I did, I apologize and correct myself. But, you know, basically, I didn't know of any raw vegan animal sanctuaries. I'm glad there is one. You know, I'm not sure that lady was raw vegan and then started the animal sanctuary. Maybe she was vegan first because of the animals and then started the sanctuary and then became raw. I don't know her exact story. But yeah, so I think there should be more people with animal sanctuaries, whether vegan or not, whether raw vegan or not, because the animals are important and we need to care for the other creatures on our planet, all right? Because once again, most raw vegans should be just called raw plant-based eaters because they don't truly embrace the, you know, ethical stance of being vegan. All right, so that's all I got for this month's Q&A. If you guys enjoyed this month's Q&A, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also be sure to share this with other people that can benefit from this Q&A. Make sure you click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes. I have a command every 5 to 7 days. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check out past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 800 episodes at this time on the channel dedicated to teach you guys all about how to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and other plant foods processed in the best ways possible. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.